Hi, my name is Jack. Not an alcoholic. Hi. And I'm from Boston, Mass. The only reason I say I'm from Boston is because you never know. Y'all. And I belong to a group in Dedham, Mass. Dedham Village group. I live in Brockton, Mass. And I got my AA in South Boston, Mass. So it's I'm very nervous. I grew up in South Boston, Mass. As a kid, I had an alcoholic father, and I remember my mother saying to me many times, "Don't ever be like that so-and-so." I said, not me. But I've seen enough. I've seen a lot. I've seen her take beatings on this guy. I've seen myself take beatings on this guy. And I've seen him falling downstairs, sleeping in the hallway, and that's enough of taking his inventory. But I did have a lot to do with alcoholism before I ever picked up the drink. In my neighborhood, everybody was a drunk. All the adults were drunks, men and women. But I didn't pick up a drink until I was about 15, and we had two fellas in the corner. We had the local wino that go down and buy us the booze because we couldn't buy it. And I got drunk the first time I ever drank, and that was the last time I drank for a long time. And 17 years old, I got out of high school, and I joined the Marine Corps. And that was during the Korean War, and of course we went to boot camp. We couldn't drink, and on leave from boot camp, the first thing I did when I came home was I got drunk. You know, and I stayed drunk for about, I forget how much leave I had, 10 days, but I was drunk for about 8 of them. And then back to Camp Lejeune, and they had slop shoots in Camp Lejeune, and we could drink when we wanted to. And the reason we could drink was because this fellow Chesty Fuller was the Marine Corps commandant at the time, and there was some controversy over whether a kid 17, 18 years old could drink or not. And he had said that if they were old enough to fight, they were old enough to drink. And he was my pal. And that's what we did. I did. Every weekend, every time I had the chance, I was drinking. From there, I went to California, and I never visited Hollywood and Vine or any of them places. I never went sightseeing. The furthest I ever got was the bar rooms, And I wasn't 18 yet, and one weekend, one of the fellas said, "Why don't we get out to Tijuana?" And so I said, "It's a good idea." Now I found woman. Now it was the woman, the booze, and boy, I was up. I guess I did have a good time for a while, but that's good. I really didn't have a good time for too long because at 18 years old, I was drinking in the morning. I picked up the morning drink early. In fact, at 18 years old, started a lifetime of booze for me. I thought this was great, and it was the way I was thinking. And I went over to Korea, and there was a few signposts for me over Korea which I couldn't see. Naturally, we had an 8-can beer ration a week, a month. Excuse me. I had an 8-can beer ration a week, and I used to save it for 4 weeks, and I'd have 32 cans. Because I didn't, at that time, even then, 8 cans of beer wasn't enough for me. I had to have enough to get drunk. I drank to get drunk. I never drank because I liked the taste. I never drank because I wanted to be sociable. I drank because I wanted to get drunk. And that was the start of about 25 years of this thing. I got out of the service. I got out when I was 19. I had 3 months off. I was in the Marine Corps Reserve, and I only had to do 21 1 month, so I got 3 months off of overseas duty. So at 19, I come home, and I was 20 at home. After 3 months, I turned 20, and I was in love. I wanted to get married. It's kind of tough, you know, for an overseas veteran, hard drinking, tough, like down 152 pounds of me, and I had asked my mother's permission to get her to sign the papers to get married. No. And she asked me, you know, why don't I consider putting it off for a while? And I said, no, I want to get married. So I did. And at 20 years old, I got married. Now, shortly after that, it was, I'd say 9, 10 months after that, we had a baby. And 10 months after that, we had another. And about a year after that, we had another. And we had 5 children. One of them just gave me a drunk. I had a problem, a big problem. I was an alcoholic, I didn't know it. My wife was an alcoholic, she didn't know. And in the process of the both of us drinking, it was a circus. It was really a terrible, terrible way to bring up children. Because I didn't bring them up, I dragged them up when I was around. I had my girlfriends, I never drank in the house. She did the drinking in the house, I did the drinking outside. And I thought I was having a good time. She died from booze at 33 years old. 2 quarts of vodka a day. And I didn't think too much of it at the time as far as how she died, the way she died, because I wasn't as bad as her. But at the time, I was drinking more than her, you know, in my own way. I was drinking every day, every night, and I didn't know till later in the big book it mentions how a woman's progression is much faster, I don't know why, than a man's. And I believe it. Anyway, I kept on, and now I had 5 children, and I was a bachelor father. I moved in with my sister. My drinking increased. It wasn't too long after I was in with my sister, but she had enough. At this time now, I was bringing home my whole paycheck and giving it to my sister, and thinking I was father of the year, because because I was giving her my paycheck. And the way I got food now is that I stole. And that was a pretty good thief because I never got caught. She'd get my check and I'd steal maybe $200, $250 a week, every week. And I was always drunk, and I figured she was happy and giving her the money. Then the boom fell, and she told me, you know, I've got 3 kids of my own, 5 kids of yours. You never hear you bring home Chinese food once in a while. Once in a while you drop in with your girlfriend, and, you know, you're not a father, you know, you're drinking too much, and I didn't like to hear that, you know. But it was the truth. So I had to put 3 of my children into a home. And they were in their homes a year. 2 of my children I took with me. And this girl who was my drinking buddy at the time, asked her to marry me. And I know today I married her because I wanted a babysitter. You know, I didn't, you know, there was really nothing much feeling there. But now I'm up against the wall, and, you know, we're cute bastards, you know, we do, I was anyway. And I needed a babysitter. So we got married, and that was a service, a real service. I was mistreating my kids badly during this time, and not realizing. Slapping them around, picking on them for no reason. And I wasn't very good father. I wasn't a very good anything. I wasn't a husband. I was a drunk, and I didn't know it. And while I was married to this girl, and I had got my other kids out of the home, and the kids are all together again. Maybe they would have been better off if I left them where they were at the time, but who knows. I acquired another girlfriend. And my wife acquired another couple of boyfriends. And that's how it went, I left her. And I went to live with this other woman. And in the process, I was getting worse. I was drunk constantly now. And my drink was, it doesn't matter really what I drink. I used to drink 2 doubles and a beer. And then 2 doubles and a beer. And it just went on and on and on. I was drunk by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night I was drunk. Half the time I didn't know where I was. I didn't care. And this woman I had moved in with didn't drink. And she had started going to Eleanor. Now when I got drunk I didn't get in. And now when I started acting up, the police were at the door. And now I wasn't getting away with what I did get away with. And I hated it. Because now everyone's telling me what to do on this, on that, I mean, what the hell they want? I brought home my money, That's all I brought home. When I brought it home, I wasn't bringing that home all the time. I had been suspended from work 7 different times for drinking. This company I worked for, the electric company in Boston, tolerated this at that time. Along the way, looking back, I say maybe if they fired me, maybe I would have straightened out sooner. Who knows? That's all hindsight. But they kept putting up with me, being late, being out 57 Mondays and Fridays in 1 year. 57 Mondays and Fridays in 1 year. If I had a guy working for me who was out 20, I'd fire him, But they put up with it. And it got to be where I was drunk every day at work. I was the boss. I had 5 men in my crew. And they would have to come in the bar room 10 o'clock in the morning to get me out. We went for coffee at 8:30. And at 10 o'clock, they'd come in and say, hey, it's about time we get up to the job. I'd say, hey, I'll have one more and we'll go. And they knew me by now, and they said, no more, Jack, You got to go for the job, I said, who's the boss? It doesn't matter who's the boss, let's go. I got a guy, Johnny Friendwelly. He's 6'8", big Italian guy. Picked me up with my ball and beer in my hand and carried me out of the barrel one time. Everybody's looking at me. I'm just walking like this. I didn't drop the ball and beer. Put me in the truck and that's what I was doing. Jesus, I mean, I was, not real, and yet, to me, booze wasn't my problem. During this time, I had gone through 5 upper plates. 5 of them. I knew a dental technician, thank God. I still be paying for them. I had a car accident. I had 8 total wrecks. 8 total wrecks. And the last one I didn't see because the guy that went down to get my belongings out told me not to go down and look at it because I wouldn't believe it. But through all this, booze wasn't my problem. I didn't know what the hell my problem was. I didn't know anything about Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know anything about anything, to be truthful with you. I think for about 8 years I was in a gray house. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I just didn't know anything. I knew I wanted to drink in the morning. I drank all day. I stole to get the money for drinking, and I didn't care about my kids. I didn't care about the woman I was living with. I didn't care about nobody. All I cared about was me and my books, And incidentally, I hated myself. I really did. dressed up in a blue sport coat, $150 in my pocket, and go to the worst joint in town so I could feel good. And I thought I was the best thing in that place, but I couldn't look anyone in the eye. And it was paradox, you know. To think you're so damn good, and yet not to be able to look anybody in the eye, you know, the guilt, knowing what I was, and really not wanting to admit it. Not even knowing what I wanted to admit, because I didn't know that I was sick. I didn't know that I was an alcoholic. By now I'm getting some idea that something's wrong someplace. I've gone to two wives, and my kids they hardly knew me, and they didn't like me. No one did, you know, at the time. They were afraid of me, and one of my kids I was talking to the other night, last night, called me here in Virginia. And this is how far-reaching it is. He's in the program, and he told me last night he had to call me here because he woke up, he couldn't sleep because he said that he was afraid of me. That he was afraid if he did something wrong, I was going to hit him. And he's 4 inches taller than I am now. He's a big kid. So, you know, the damage we do. Oh. Anyway, I get to the point where nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. Nobody mattered to me. Nothing mattered to me except booze. And it was one day before Thanksgiving, 6 years ago. I got out of the truck in a black house, and I grabbed the cop by the neck who stopped my truck in traffic because he wanted to let an old lady go by. And I didn't like that. And I got out and I grabbed him by the neck, and he was reaching for his gun. And all the guys in my crew got out and they had to hold me. And I don't know how I got out of that, but I did not get pinched. They put me back in the truck, and we went to this job in East Boston. And when we got to East Boston, I got out of the truck again, still in the blackout, and I had to relieve myself, you know. Jesus. I had to relieve myself, so I went in the nearest doorway. Where else would you go? You know, if you're drunk, you know how they were. And I did relieve myself. But this doorway, it was a beauty parlor. So the whole crew come after me again and threw me in the back of the truck. And I said, you know, I never thought, I never did, to the best of my knowledge, attempt suicide. You know, I always liked life too much. But this day, I find out that I did because there's a fellow on my crew, this Big Eddie, you know, 350 pounds. 350 pounds, and he wasn't fat. And he bought me a coffee, well, a little fat. I don't like to say it. He bought me a coffee and an eclair. And he brought it up to the truck, and I was sitting in the front seat. So I took the coffee, and I'm trying to have the coffee. He handed me the eclair, and I said, I don't like eclairs. And I hit him right in the face with it. And it took the 4 guys to hold him off. You know, that's the closest I came to commit suicide. Now I'm really getting bad. You know, this is, you know, I'm in blackouts now a lot. I don't, you know, actually I don't remember. But I went to work the following Monday, and the big boss has heard about this, I guess, that day. He heard about the whole thing, grabbing the cop, the doorway, hitting Eddie. He asked me to come in the office, and he said, I'm not going to, this is not for any disciplinary reasons. He said, this is just a man-to-man talk between you and I just want to say that I think you're having trouble with booze. And this is the very first time that anyone ever confronted me with that. You're having trouble with booze. And it took about maybe a minute for me to answer, you know, and I did. I had a tear in my eye because it took a lot for me to say it. I think I am, you know. I said, maybe I am. He says, well, we have a nice program in this company, whether you heard of it or not. And we'd like you, you know, to join. Or else. You know, none of us get into AA. We don't walk down the street and say, geez, this is a nice AA meeting over there. They'll go, you know. I mean, we get pushed in, or we try to get out of some scrape with the law. I know I had to get in, because if I didn't get in, I was fired. In fact, I had been fired. Just previous to that, I had been fired, but they made a mistake in the process of firing me. They fired me on a Friday because I didn't come into work and I didn't call up. And they went up to my house. Now, this was the vice president of employee relations who went to my house with his assistant, and that has never happened before, and has never happened since in my company. The vice president himself went up to my house because they were looking at my record, and they said, is it possible this guy is still working here? So when he went up to my house to knock on the door, he had a little surprise. There was no door. It was the night before. I had been home, and all that was left of the door was one little panel swinging on the top. And when I got in, she wouldn't let me in. I got in, and after I got in, I didn't want to be there. So I left, and I ended up about 20 miles away. But they had been out of my house the next day. They had visited every bar room in South Boston that day to find me, catch me in there, but they didn't catch me because I wasn't in South Boston. So that night they notified my union that I was terminated. At the time I had 20 years in the company. And one thing they didn't do was they forgot to notify their own office. And that was Friday night. Saturday morning they called me into work in overtime. This is the grace of God. Well, this is the grace of God. There's no coincidences. I come in Saturday morning, I work 16 hours. How the hell could I do that if I was fired Friday, you know? I wanted to get it in my house. And I didn't because I wanted vinegar. I didn't get into the vinegar. And that was my record for five more years. For 5 years, I was in and out of the program, doing it my way. I must have heard 1,000 times a year for the 5 years to get on your knees and ask for help. Ask a higher power, a power greater than yourself, for help. It doesn't have to be God. It doesn't just a power greater than yourself, because you're not the greatest thing around. But I couldn't do that. And I didn't do that. And I kept getting drunk. And then one night I was driving my car. I was going around the circle. And the next thing I knew, I was sitting in the circle all by myself, no car, nobody around. The car almost hit me. And when I got up, there was 4 girls and a guy got out of the car and asked me what I was doing there. You know? I was all cut on my left side, and I slid across the road probably 30 feet. When I got up, I just asked them, where is my car? Now they're standing there, and I'm standing there. There's only one car on the road. And they thought I was nuts. There's a hole in the fence about 70 feet away, and my car went over the bank and went down 40 feet, across a double highway, and hit a place where the trains are, the fence. I had walked over and I looked down over the embankment, and the headlights were still on, and the car was still running. You know? And I started to walk the other way, and the girl says, what's your car down there? I said, yes, I know it. But I wasn't that drunk, you know. I said, I got down in that car, I'm going to get pinched again, you know. So I went to where would I go? I went to the nearest bar, and I got drunk, and I left my car there. At the time, it was foolish because I was living in my car. For 30 days, that was my home. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I called up my house and said I have to come home. You know? I want to come home. I'm never going to drink again. I'm never going to do any of this again. Just let me in. Well, by this time, the police had already called my house. I had left my keys, my license, my registration, everything in the car. They were in my keys. And so she let me in. And I got up in the morning and I told her, call up sick for work. And she says, nothing doing. Get up, call up work and tell them you want to go to a detox or get out and never come back. So I've had it. Well, I ended up going to a detox. And in the detox, which happened to be Beach Hill in New Hampshire, fabulous place. Jeez, it was wonderful. It was my first detox, and I learned up there that I did learn I had a disease. And I learned a lot of things. The first time I was introduced to the 12 steps. Shock form, we went through the 12 steps in 2 weeks, and I did start to realize that something was wrong with me, But there was something I could do about it. There was something wrong with me, but I could do something about it. And while I was up there, group had come in, and one of the speakers had said, I've been sober 5 years, and I never asked for help. And I said, beautiful. These are the guys sober 5 years, never asked for help, and I didn't want to ask for help. And this was my end. I left Beach Hill 9 months later, after cutting my meetings from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to none. 9 months later, I cashed my check in Park Square in Boston, and I told the driver that was with me, I said, come on, let's go and have a beer. 9 months I haven't had a drink. No defense against the first drink, absolutely none, because now I know why. I haven't been going to meetings. I hadn't asked for help. That wasn't half measures. There was no measures. I was doing it on my own. And I just learned you can't do it. But anyway, I went to this, in 9 months I haven't had a drink. I went to this bar room, the Mousetrap, lovely little place. And I got out of a Schlitz, which was $1.50 because they had the new dances there. These two young ladies were arguing at the bar. And I got over real close to listen to this argument. And it had nothing to do with it. They had nothing on from the waist up. I just wanted to listen to this argument. And I was pouring my beer. As I was pouring my beer, the lady closest to me reached under her coat, pulled out a gun, shot the girl beside her that she was arguing with. They were right off the chair, in the stomach. She was laying on his blood. And I just looked, put the beer down, I walked out, walked next door, the pub. I asked the bartender for a beer. I didn't care. 9 months old, I didn't care about the girl on the floor. I didn't care about the one that shot her. I didn't care about anything. I wanted a beer. I went next door and I ordered a beer. I told the bartender, I said, Jesus, I said, I haven't had a beer in 9 months. I walk in there next door, I don't even get a sip in my mouth, and I said, look, now the police and the ambulance, everything in there. I said, and some girl shoots another girl. The bartender said to me, well, right over my head, he said, do you think there's a message there? I don't think my higher power has someone shot to give me a message about drinking. But there was a message there I didn't take. That led me on another 2 months. About 3 months, I forget. 2 or 3 months drinking. But I got back in the program, again, through the grace of God. By this time, I had been thrown out of the company program because I wasn't attending meetings. They had a mandatory 5 meetings a week, and I wasn't attending. And I got back into the program, and I got into the steps, which I never even thought of. I didn't know what the hell the steps were. I seen these 12 steps on the wall, and I just looked at them. 5 years. I did 5 years in AA, in and out. I didn't know what the 12 steps were. I had gotten them at Beach Hill just previous that 9 months, but, very fast, 2 weeks, So I enrolled in this program called AWA. It's at a halfway house in South Boston. And went through the steps, it's a 26-week. It's a 26-week thing. You make a commitment to show up every Tuesday. And you go through the steps from 1 to 12. it's a beautiful way to get through them because you don't start in the middle or you don't start, you start right up the first step and go through. And in the 23 weeks, I did learn a hell of a lot about myself, character defects, the people I hurt that I didn't even know, didn't even realize. The things that I did, the things that were good about me also. I also learned that, you gotta love yourself. You've gotta like yourself. I never did. I learned that I had to like myself. It's no large spread. Love thy neighbor as thyself. If you don't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? I learned a lot from the steps. It taught me the way of life, And the way of life, it's just, the steps are just the beginning. It was a case of living the steps afterwards. I was going on 3 years sobriety and things weren't going too well at home. Sober, all drunk. Things were getting worse. I had married this girl who I was living with, and I believe things got worse from the day after I walked out of the church. Anyway, what happened is, I know I was changing, but she was changing too. She was getting worse, I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't go to, she didn't want me to go to meetings. And if she went with me to a meeting, if I turned my head to the left or to the right, she'd say, how is she? And you can't go to meetings. I couldn't go to meetings like that. I wasn't trusted 2 feet out the doorway. I was taking about $5 a week for lunch, $5 a day for lunch. I ate two meals in the job, and I had asked her for another $1 extra for gas, and she said nothing doing. And the whole thing was getting to be ridiculous, And it was terrible. I mean, the purpose of AA, one of the things of AA is it gets families together. But in my case, it didn't work that way because I had caused her a lot of damage. I know that. But I really couldn't take the responsibility for all the damage because, if we're nuts before we drink, we get sober, we're going to be nuts, We get into the steps and we learn a little bit more. But she was a jealous woman. I guess I never knew it before while I was drinking, and I never knew that. And then when I get sober, I'm starting to change, and I'm starting to do things right. I'm not fooling around. I'm bringing home my check. I'm doing everything I can, but yet I can't get along. So I ended up leaving the house. I went home one Wednesday, and this is a Wednesday after she accused me of trying to make time with her sister. The sister, she's come down from New York for 2 days, married a big lawyer, making $150,000 a year. They own all kind of property. And she thought her sister was going to leave him for me anyway. She's crazy, right? Anyway, I left the house. And that night that I left the house, I had been sober for about 11 months. I wasn't out of the house 20 minutes. And the old feeling come back. 20 minutes, I started to shake, and I was shivering. And the time came for me which I found out with no power on it was going to keep me sober. And I found out that night. It was 7 o'clock at night. I made a meeting at 8:30. I talked to about 8 people. I did everything I was supposed to do. I had been going to a few meetings a week. I had cut down then too. Maybe that's why I was in the shape I was in. I talked to a few people. I left the meeting, and I found myself in front of a bar room. And I wanted 3 doubles and a beer. And I hadn't had a drink most of the year. And drinking hadn't been in my mind for 9 months, 10 months. But I wanted 3 doubles and a beer. And there was a phone on the corner, Jolly Donuts saying, I stood by the phone, I was going to make a phone call, and I said, hell with it, you might as well be drunk. That's the booze, telling me I can do it again. It'll be different this time it'll be great, You'll have no more trouble. Just pick up one more drink and everything is going to be fine. But I made a phone call. And that was the start of real sobriety for me because the phone call I made got me to a halfway house that night. And I was going to stay there one night. And I ended up staying there a year. I thought I had it all together. I had nothing together, really, because I had stopped going to meetings. I had stopped doing what I was supposed to be doing. But I was at this time asking for help. And I think that's why. That's the reason I'm sober today. Because I was asking for help this time, and I was asking for help that night. And I got the help, because I made that phone call, which I never would have done. And the year in the Gavin House in South Boston was, in that year I made 450 some odd meetings, 1 year. I went to work every day. I did what I was supposed to do. I sent money home every week because now I wasn't home. And things did get better. When I left the Gavin House, I went down to the three-quarter house as a manager. And it was a great experience for me because it was learning. It was keeping me sober, being with trucks. Since then, I've become a counselor there. I counsel alcoholics, 3 of them a week on Thursday. And that's only my experience, strength, and hope. I have no degree. All I can do is tell them what happened to me. And I'm not a teacher. No one's a teacher, you know. I mean, we're all students, and it's beautiful, you know. The house saved my sobriety, the halfway house. I met a girl in the program. I met her about 4 years before I asked her to walk. Like they say in the program, girl meets boy on AA campus. It's a no-no. But I figured, girl meets boy on AA campus, 4 years later, the girl likes to say, you know, you want to go out. So I asked her to go out. She's with me tonight, Chris. I hate to say that, but it is a friendship, you know. I get sobriety every day. Sorry, I get sobriety every day, so they promise me, but Jesus, you know, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. We have about the same amount of sobriety, we went through the steps at the same time. We think a lot alike. We're both alcoholics. We both know, really. We both keep our sobriety apart. We both stay sober our own way with the help of God. I don't interfere with her. She doesn't interfere with me when it comes to sobriety because I can't keep her sober. She can't keep me. And it's a real good working, it's a beautiful relationship. We'll probably be getting married in 4 months as soon as I get my divorce. I hope to get the divorce within 4 months. And things have gotten so much better. I couldn't explain how good things have been getting. I haven't thought of a drink in 3 years. I had my 5th anniversary 2 weeks ago, and that's important to me. Probably to nobody else, but there was a time I couldn't stay sober for 5 hours. You know, to be sober for 5 years, and just by following suggestions, just by doing what's suggested in these halls by you people, and by believing that there is a higher power, who I choose to call God today. I don't ask him just for help in the morning. I ask him for help. And every decision I make, I ask him for help. And it makes it easier, because I do get the help. I asked him for a little help tonight before I get up here. And I'm getting the help, because I'm calmed down. I get on my knees every night. Every night I get on my knees and thank God for keeping me sober for a day. I want to thank you people God works through, for giving me what I had today. Thank you very much.